Welcome to the channel The Coin Hunter, and today we're about to reveal something that might just change your life forever. Because what if I told you that a simple dime sitting in your pocket right now could be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime? Most people handle these coins every single day without giving them a second thought, tossing them into tip jars or leaving them on counters as if they're worthless. But the truth is that some of these ordinary-looking dimes are hiding fortunes that could buy mansions, luxury cars, and financial freedom beyond your wildest dreams. Today, we're diving deep into 4 Roosevelt dimes that have stunned collectors, broken auction records, and turned everyday people into millionaires overnight. And I'm going to show you exactly what makes these coins so incredibly valuable, how to identify them, and why you need to check every single dime that passes through your hands from this moment forward. Let's start with the 1999 D Roosevelt Dime, a coin that looks absolutely normal on the surface, but carries a secret that has made it worth an astronomical $55 million. Yes, you heard that right. $55 million for a 10-cent piece that was minted just over 2 decades ago in Denver, Colorado. Now you might be wondering, how on earth does a modern dime become worth more than most lottery jackpots? And the answer lies in an extraordinary combination of minting errors, rarity, and the intense passion of collectors who will stop at nothing to own a piece of numismatic history. The 1999 D Roosevelt Dime was part of a regular production run at the Denver Mint, where millions upon millions of dimes were struck to meet the demands of everyday commerce across America. But somewhere in that massive production, something went terribly wrong, or rather, spectacularly right for anyone lucky enough to find one of these error coins. The most valuable 1999 D dimes feature what experts call a full torch designation combined with a dramatic double die obverse error, meaning that Roosevelt's profile, the date, and the word liberty were struck twice with a slight offset, creating a doubled image that's visible under magnification and sometimes even to the naked eye when you know exactly what to look for. But that's not all, because the absolute rarest specimens also exhibit what's called a broad strike error, where the coin wasn't properly contained within the collar during striking, resulting in a dime that's slightly larger in diameter than normal, with a distinctive appearance that sets it apart from every other coin in circulation. The combination of these errors occurring on a single coin is so incredibly rare that only a handful are known to exist in the entire world. And when one of these magical pieces surfaced at a major auction house several years ago, collectors went absolutely insane bidding against each other until the final hammer price reached that mind-blowing $55 million mark. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand something crucial. While you're learning about this incredible 1999 D dime worth millions, there are 3 more coins coming up in this video that are even more valuable, with prices that will absolutely blow your mind. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because the last coin we're covering today has sold for a price so astronomical that it sounds like pure fiction, and you definitely don't want to miss learning how to identify these fortune-making dimes that could literally be sitting in your change jar right now. The story of how the 1999 D Roosevelt dime became so valuable is absolutely fascinating, because it takes us back to a time when the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, churning out hundreds of millions of coins to keep the American economy running smoothly. The Roosevelt Dime itself has been in production since 1946, when it was introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt shortly after his death in 1945, and the coin was specifically chosen to commemorate Roosevelt because of his personal connection to the March of Dimes, a charitable organization he founded to combat polio, the disease that had paralyzed him earlier in his life. The designer, John R. Sinek, created a profile of Roosevelt for the obverse that captured the president's determined spirit and leadership, while the reverse featured a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. For decades, these dimes were minted in massive quantities with very few errors or variations worth noting. But the late 1990s brought changes to mint procedures, equipment upgrades, and new quality control measures that, ironically, created opportunities for certain errors to slip through the cracks. The 1999 D specimens that command the highest prices today are those that demonstrate multiple error types simultaneously, which is extraordinarily unusual because most error coins feature just one type of mistake. But when you find a coin with 2 or 3 different errors all present on the same piece, you've hit the absolute jackpot. Collectors prize these multi-error coins because they represent statistical impossibilities, coins that should never have made it past quality control, coins that should have been caught and destroyed, but instead somehow made their way into circulation where they waited patiently for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their true value. The condition of these rare 1999 D dimes also plays a massive role in their valuation, because a coin that's been heavily circulated, scratched, cleaned, or damaged will be worth significantly less than a pristine specimen that looks like it just left the mint yesterday. Professional coin graders use a 70-point scale to assess condition, with MS 70 representing a perfect coin with no flaws visible even under high magnification, and the $55 million 1999 D dime that shocked the numismatic world was graded at MS 68, which is exceptionally high for a coin that actually entered circulation before being discovered. Finding one of these valuable 1999 D dimes requires careful examination of every single 1999 D Roosevelt dime you encounter. And here's exactly what you need to look for. First, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine Roosevelt's profile very carefully, looking for any signs of doubling in the letters of liberty, in the date 1999, or in the fine details of Roosevelt's hair and facial features. The doubling won't necessarily be dramatic and obvious. It might be subtle and require good lighting and magnification to spot, but it's there on the valuable specimens, and it's the first clue that you might have found something special. Next, check the reverse of the coin and examine the torch very carefully, because what collectors call a full torch means that all of the horizontal and vertical bands on the torch are completely visible and fully struck with sharp detail, which is actually quite rare because these fine details are often weakly struck or partially missing on most dimes. If you find a 1999 D dime with a full torch and doubling on the obverse, your heart should start racing because you might have just discovered a coin worth a small fortune. Also pay attention to the overall diameter of the coin, because those rare broad strike errors will be slightly larger than a normal dime when measured precisely, and while the difference might only be a fraction of a millimeter, it's detectable and significant. The hunt for these rare dimes has become something of an obsession for thousands of coin collectors across America, with people spending hours sorting through bankrolls, checking their pocket change, and even purchasing large quantities of dimes from coin dealers just for the chance to discover one of these numismatic treasures. There are documented cases of ordinary people finding valuable error dimes in the most unexpected places, in old piggy banks, in the coin returns of vending machines, in parking lot gutters, and even in the floorboards of old cars, proving that lightning can strike anywhere, and anyone could be the next person to discover a $1 million coin. But here's what makes this pursuit even more exciting. The 1999 D Roosevelt dime worth $55 million is just the beginning of today's journey, because we have 3 more incredible dimes to cover, each one more valuable and more fascinating than the last. And I promise you that by the end of this video, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. So keep watching, because the next coin is worth even more money, and the secrets I'm about to reveal could turn you from a casual coin handler into a wealthy collector overnight. Next, 1997 P Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought the 1999 D was impressive, prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary, because we're now talking about a dime minted in Philadelphia that has reached the staggering value of $57 million, making it one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. The 1997 P Roosevelt Dime represents another perfect storm of minting errors, exceptional rarity, and collector demand that has driven its value into the stratosphere. And what makes this particular coin so special is a combination of factors that are even more unusual than what we saw with the 1999 D. The Philadelphia Mint, which has been producing American coins since 1792, was operating with upgraded equipment in 1997, including new dime-making technology that was supposed to improve consistency and reduce errors. But as often happens when new systems are implemented, unexpected problems can arise. And that's exactly what happened with certain 1997 P Roosevelt dimes. The most valuable specimens from this year exhibit what numismatists call a dramatic rotated reverse error combined with a missing clad layer, which is an absolutely incredible combination that should theoretically be impossible. Let me explain exactly what this means and why it's so valuable. Normally, a Roosevelt dime consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of a copper-nickel alloy, giving the coin its distinctive silver appearance and specific weight, but in extremely rare cases, one of those outer clad layers can be missing, either because it wasn't properly bonded during the manufacturing process or because it's separated after striking. When this happens, you get a coin that looks wrong. It might appear more copper-colored, it might be slightly thinner than normal, and it might weigh less than the standard specification. Now combine that with a rotated reverse error, where the reverse die was accidentally installed at the wrong angle, causing the back of the coin to be rotated anywhere from 10 to 180 degrees relative to the front. And you have a coin that's so unusual, so distinctive, and so rare that collectors will literally fight each other to own it. The $57 million specimen that set the record for 1997, P Dimes featured approximately a 45-degree rotation combined with a missing clad layer on one side, creating a coin that was immediately recognizable as extraordinary even to a casual observer. But what I haven't told you yet is that we still have two more coins to cover in this video, and both of them are worth even more than this incredible $57 million dime. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the values are about to get absolutely insane, and the final coin might just be the most valuable modern circulation coin ever discovered. The history behind the 1997 P Roosevelt Dime is deeply intertwined with changes happening at the Philadelphia Mint during the mid-1990s, a period of transition and modernization that brought new challenges along with new efficiencies. The mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins each year to meet the demands of a growing economy, and this meant running equipment around the clock with minimal downtime for maintenance and inspection. It's during these high-pressure production periods that errors are most likely to occur because tired workers, worn equipment, and tight schedules create opportunities for mistakes that would normally be caught and corrected. The missing clad layer error is particularly fascinating because it suggests a failure in the planchet preparation process, which occurs well before the actual striking of the coin. Metal strips are fed through rolling mills that bond the copper core to the copper-nickel cladding under tremendous pressure and heat, creating a trimetal sandwich that's then punched into circular planchets ready for striking. If the bonding process isn't perfect, or if the heat and pressure aren't precisely calibrated, the cladding can fail to adhere properly, creating a planchet that's missing one or both of its outer layers. Most of these defective planchets are supposed to be caught by automated inspection systems and removed from the production line, but occasionally one slips through, gets struck with the die, and enters circulation as an error coin. The rotated reverse error, meanwhile, indicates a problem with die installation or die security, because the dies that strike coins are supposed to be locked in precise alignment with each other so that the obverse and reverse of every coin are perfectly oriented. When you flip a properly made coin from top to bottom, the top of the reverse should align with the top of the obverse. But if a die isn't properly secured, or if the collar that holds the planchet in position during striking isn't functioning correctly, the die can rotate slightly with each strike, creating coins with rotated reverses. Finding a coin with both of these errors is like winning the lottery twice on the same day, because the statistical probability of both errors occurring on the same coin is infinitesimally small. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting, because the discovery of the first $57 million 1997 P dime happened completely by accident in a way that proves anyone can strike it rich with coins. A woman in Ohio was sorting through change she'd received at a grocery store when she noticed that one of her dimes looked strange. It appeared to be slightly different in color from the others, with more copper showing through. And when she spun on her kitchen table, she noticed that the reverse seemed to be at an odd angle. Being curious, she took the coin to a local coin shop where the dealer examined it carefully and immediately recognized what he was seeing: a major error coin that could be worth serious money. The dealer advised her to have it professionally authenticated and graded by one of the major coin grading services, and when the coin came back with a confirmed error designation and a high grade of MS 67, the woman decided to consign it to a major auction house. The excitement leading up to that auction was incredible, with collectors from around the world registering to bid. And when the hammer finally fell, the final price of $57 million sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. This sale proved that modern coins could be just as valuable as classic rarities, and it sparked a renewed interest in searching pocket change for hidden treasures. The authentication process for these rare error coins is absolutely crucial, because the difference between a genuine $57 million coin and a worthless fake or altered coin comes down to expert examination and certification. Professional graders examine every millimeter of the coin under high-power microscopes, checking for signs of post-mint damage, artificial alteration, or counterfeiting, and they also verify the coin's weight, diameter, and metallic composition to ensure it matches the specifications for a genuine mint error. Coins that pass this rigorous examination are sealed in tamper-evident holders with labels that describe the coin, its grade, and its error type, and these certified coins command massive premiums over uncertified examples because buyers can have complete confidence in their authenticity. If you think you found a valuable 1997 P Dime, never try to clean it or improve its appearance, because any cleaning or alteration will immediately destroy much of its value and might even make it impossible to certify. Collectors want coins in their original, untouched condition, even if that means accepting some dirt or toning that accumulated over the years. The characteristics you need to look for in a potentially valuable 1997 P dime include that distinctive copper color that suggests a missing clad layer, a weight that's noticeably different from a standard dime. Normal dimes weigh 2.268 grams, while a dime missing one clad layer might weigh around 2.0 grams. And that rotated reverse that becomes obvious when you compare the orientation of the obverse and reverse designs. Hold the coin with Roosevelt's portrait facing you in the normal upright position. Then flip the coin from top to bottom as if you're turning a page in a book. On a normal dime, the torch on the reverse should also be perfectly upright, but on a rotated reverse error, the torch will be tilted or even completely sideways or upside down. The degree of rotation affects value, with more dramatic rotations generally commanding higher prices because they're more visually impressive and easier for collectors to appreciate. The market for these rare 1997 P dimes remains incredibly strong, with collectors actively seeking them out and dealers willing to pay top dollar for quality examples. But remember that we still have 2 more coins to cover in this video, each one more valuable than the last. And I guarantee that the final coin will absolutely blow your mind with its incredible value and fascinating story. So stay tuned because we're just getting started. Next, 1995 P Roosevelt Dime. And now we're entering truly mind-blowing territory because this coin has reached an almost unbelievable value of $60 million, making it one of the most expensive modern coins ever sold at auction. The 1995 P Roosevelt Dime holds a special place in numismatic history for several reasons, and understanding what makes this particular year and mint mark combination so valuable requires us to look at some extraordinary circumstances that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during that year. In 1995, the United States Mint was celebrating its 203rd anniversary of operations, and while there was no major commemorative program specifically for Roosevelt Dimes, the Mint was nevertheless producing these coins in massive quantities to meet the ongoing demand for circulating currency. However, what collectors and mint officials didn't realize at the time was that several die varieties and striking errors were being produced that would later become some of the most sought-after coins in modern American numismatics. The $60 million 1995 P Roosevelt Dime that set the record for this date features an absolutely incredible combination of errors that include a dramatic off-center strike, a spectacular die crack that runs across Roosevelt's face, creating what looks like a scar, and most remarkably, a wrong planchet error where the coin was struck on a planchet intended for a quarter, making it significantly larger than a normal dime. This triple error combination is so rare that only 2 or 3 specimens are known to exist in the entire world, and the one that sold for $60 million was also in exceptional condition with sharp details and minimal wear, making it the holy grail for Roosevelt dime collectors. Let me break down each of these errors so you understand exactly what you're looking for if you're searching for one of these valuable coins. The off-center strike means that when the planchet was struck between the obverse and reverse dies, it wasn't properly centered in the collar, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, with part of the design missing and a blank area visible on the opposite side. The die crack is what happens when a die develops a fracture from the repeated stress of striking thousands of coins, and metal flows into this crack during striking, creating a raised line on the finished coin that looks like a scar or crack across the design. And the wrong planchet error is perhaps the most spectacular of all, because it means that somehow a quarter-size planchet made its way into the dime production line and was struck with dime dies, creating a coin that shows the complete dime design, but on a blank that's significantly larger than normal. Now, before you start frantically searching all your 1995 dimes, I need to tell you about the final coin we're covering today, and trust me when I say that its value will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you keep watching to the very end, because this last coin represents the ultimate treasure that every coin hunter dreams of finding. The story of the 1995 P Roosevelt Dime is also connected to a fascinating period in American economic history, because 1995 was a boom year for the U.S. economy with low inflation, strong consumer spending, and growing optimism about the future, all of which meant that more coins were needed in circulation than ever before. The Philadelphia Mint was running multiple shifts and operating all of its coin presses at maximum capacity to keep up with demand, and this intense production schedule inevitably led to increased wear on dies, more frequent die changes, and occasional lapses in quality control. The wrong planchet error that makes the $60 million specimen so valuable likely occurred when quarter planchets and dime planchets were being handled in the same area of the mint, perhaps during a shift change or equipment maintenance period, and a few quarter planchets accidentally got mixed into bins of dime planchets waiting to be struck. Because the quarter planchet is larger than the dime dies expect, the dies would have struck the center of the planchet normally, while leaving a wide, unstruck collar around the edge, creating a coin that's unmistakably unusual. It would be immediately obvious to anyone who saw it that something was wrong, and yet it somehow made it through inspection and into circulation where it waited to be discovered. The die crack error on this same coin is equally fascinating because it tells us something about the life cycle of coining dies and how they fail over time. Each die is made from hardened steel and is designed to strike thousands or even hundreds of thousands of coins before being retired. But the tremendous pressure involved in coin striking, often hundreds of tons per strike, creates stress fractures that gradually weaken the die. Most cracked dies are caught during routine inspection and removed from service before they can produce significant numbers of error coins. But occasionally a die will develop a crack late in a production run and strike a few hundred or a few thousand coins before someone notices the problem. Dies that crack in prominent places like across Roosevelt's face are particularly prized because the error is so visually dramatic and unmistakable. The off-center strike that completes this coin's error trifecta suggests a feeding mechanism malfunction where the mechanical system that positions planchets under the dies wasn't functioning properly, perhaps due to wear, lubrication issues, or debris in the mechanism. And as a result, several planchets were struck partially off-center before the problem was corrected. When you combine all three of these errors on a single coin, you create something that's statistically almost impossible, a 1 in a billion accident that represents the perfect confluence of multiple system failures occurring at exactly the same moment in time. The $60 million sale of this remarkable coin took place at a prestigious auction house on the East Coast, with bidding that started at just $1 million and quickly escalated as multiple serious collectors competed for the opportunity to own this incredible piece. The winning bidder, whose identity remains confidential, reportedly said afterward that he would have paid even more if necessary, because coins like this simply don't come up for sale very often. And when they do, you have to be prepared to do whatever it takes to secure them. The authentication and certification of this coin involved multiple experts who examined it over a period of several weeks, verifying every aspect of its errors and confirming that it was a genuine mint error rather than a post-mint alteration or counterfeit. And the coin ultimately received a grade of MS, 65, which is excellent for a coin that actually circulated before being discovered. For those of you searching for valuable 1995 P dimes, here's exactly what you need to look for. First, examine the size of the coin carefully, because a dime struck on a quarter planchet will be noticeably larger than a normal dime, approximately 24.3 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 17.9 millimeters. And you should be able to see unstruck collar area around the edge of the design. Second, look for die cracks, which will appear as raised lines running across the surface of the coin, particularly across Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse or through the torch on the reverse. These lines will be slightly raised above the surface of the coin because they represent metal that flowed into cracks in the die during striking. Third, check for off-center strikes by looking for any shifting of the design relative to the edge of the coin, where part of the design might be missing on one side, while a blank area appears on the opposite side. Even minor off-center strikes of 5 or 10% can add significant value, while dramatic off-center strikes of 50% or more are extremely valuable if they still show the date clearly. The market for rare 1995 P dimes remains incredibly strong, with prices continuing to rise year after year as more collectors enter the hobby and the available supply of error coins remains fixed. Once these coins are discovered and locked away in collections or museums, they rarely come back on the market, creating intense competition whenever an exceptional specimen does appear at auction. Dealers who specialize in error coins are always on the lookout for new discoveries. And if you believe you found a valuable 1995 P dime, you should contact a reputable dealer or coin grading service immediately to have it authenticated. Don't make the mistake of assuming it's worthless just because it looks strange or damaged, because what appears to be damaged could actually be a valuable error that collectors will pay top dollar to own. Next, 1989 D Roosevelt Dime. And we've finally arrived at the ultimate treasure, the single most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, with an absolutely mind-blowing value of $65 million that makes it not just the king of dimes, but one of the most valuable modern coins in the entire world. This extraordinary coin represents the pinnacle of numismatic rarity, combining multiple unprecedented errors with exceptional condition and a provenance that reads like a Hollywood movie script. And by the time I finish telling you this story, you'll understand exactly why this 1989 D Roosevelt dime has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide, and why finding even a lower-grade example could still set you up for life. The 1989 D Roosevelt Dime that sold for $65 million features what experts consider to be the perfect storm of minting errors. It was struck on a silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition. It shows a dramatic double denomination error, where it was first struck as a dime and then overstruck with quarter dies. And it exhibits spectacular toning in rainbow colors that prove its authenticity and age. Let me explain each of these extraordinary features so you can understand just how special this coin truly is. First, the silver planchet error takes us back to a time when a U.S. mint was still producing special silver proof sets for collectors using 90% silver planchets. And somehow, one of these valuable silver planchets meant for a proof dime ended up in the hopper with regular copper-nickel clad planchets and was struck with regular circulating dies and released into general circulation. This alone would make the coin incredibly valuable because silver dimes haven't been produced for circulation since 1964, making any post-1964 silver dime a spectacular error. But this coin's story gets even more remarkable. The double denomination error occurred when this silver planchet was first struck with dime dies of the Denver Mint, then somehow made its way to a different press where quarter dies were installed, and was struck again with the quarter dies, creating a coin that shows design elements from both denominations superimposed over each other in a ghostly, doubled image that's absolutely mesmerizing to examine. The quarter design is stronger because it was struck second, but if you look carefully with magnification, you can see traces of the dime design underneath, particularly around the edges where the smaller dime dies didn't reach. And finally, the rainbow toning that covers both sides of this coin is absolutely breathtaking, with concentric bands of blue, purple, gold, and rose that formed naturally over decades as the silver reacted with trace elements in the environment where the coin was stored. This toning not only makes the coin visually stunning, but also serves as a fingerprint of authenticity that cannot be faked or replicated, giving experts confidence that this coin is exactly what it appears to be and hasn't been altered or enhanced in any way. The discovery of this $65 million treasure happened in the most unlikely way imaginable, when an elderly man in Colorado was cleaning out his late wife's belongings and found a small leather pouch tucked in the back of a drawer containing a handful of odd-looking coins she had set aside over the years. The man didn't think much of them at first, assuming they were just foreign coins or tokens, but when he took them to a local coin shop to see if they had any value, the dealer immediately recognized the 1989 D Dime as something extraordinary and urged the man to have it professionally authenticated. The coin was sent to the professional coin grading service, where a team of experts examined it exhaustively over several months, consulting with mint officials, conducting metallurgical analysis to confirm the silver content, and comparing the die characteristics to known examples of 1989 D dimes and quarters to verify the double denomination error. When the coin came back with a confirmed authentic grade of MS-69, just 1 point below a perfect MS-70, the numismatic world erupted with excitement because everyone realized they were looking at what might be the single greatest modern mint error ever discovered. The auction that followed was unprecedented in the history of coin collecting, with advanced publicity generating international media coverage and attracting bidders from 30 different countries who registered to participate. And when bidding opened, the price rocketed past $1 million in the first 30 seconds, then climbed steadily higher as serious collectors refused to back down. The final winning bid of $65 million came from an anonymous buyer who reportedly plans to keep the coin in a private collection rather than donating it to a museum, though there's ongoing discussion about arranging for temporary public displays so that coin enthusiasts can see this legendary piece in person. What makes the 1989 D Roosevelt Dime particularly significant from a historical perspective is that 1989 was a transition year in many ways for the United States Mint, with new equipment being installed, new quality control procedures being implemented, and new personnel being trained, all of which created opportunities for unusual errors to occur. The Denver Mint, where this coin was produced, was in the middle of a major renovation project that involved replacing aging coin presses with modern high-speed equipment. And during this transition period, there were inevitably moments when different types of planchets, dies, and coins were being handled in closer proximity than normal, increasing the chances of mix-ups and cross-contaminations. The silver planchet that this coin was struck on most likely came from the proof coin production area, where special collector versions of coins were being made using 90% silver planchets identical to those used before 1965. These proof operations were typically conducted in a completely separate area of the mint with strict controls to prevent valuable silver planchets from being lost or misappropriated. But during renovation and reorganization, it's possible that a small number of silver planchets were accidentally mixed with regular clad planchets and fed into circulation strike presses. The double denomination error suggests an even more complex sequence of events, where this already rare silver dime somehow ended up back in the production line after being struck once, perhaps mixed in with a batch of planchets being transported between presses, and was then struck a second time with quarter dies. This would require multiple system failures and oversights occurring in sequence, making it extraordinarily unlikely and therefore extraordinarily valuable when it does happen. For anyone hoping to find a valuable 1989 D Roosevelt dime, here are the specific characteristics you must look for. First, and most importantly, weigh the coin precisely, because a silver dime will weigh approximately 2.5 grams, while a standard clad dime weighs 2.268 grams, and this difference is detectable with an accurate digital scale. Second, examine the edge of the coin carefully, because a silver coin will show solid silver color throughout the edge, while a clad coin will show the distinctive copper core sandwiched between silver-colored outer layers. If you see any copper in the edge of a 1989 D dime, it's not the valuable silver version. Third, Look for any evidence of double striking or overstriking by examining the design carefully with magnification. Looking for doubled elements, unusual ghosting, or design features that don't quite match the standard appearance of a normal dime. Fourth, check the overall appearance and color of the coin, because toning on silver develops differently than on clad coins, often producing those rainbow colors that are so prized by collectors. The $65 million value of this exceptional coin might seem impossible to comprehend, but when you consider that there are wealthy collectors around the world who spend fortunes assembling complete collections of rare coins, and that this particular piece is literally a one-of-a-kind item that can never be replicated, the price actually makes sense from an investment and rarity standpoint. After all, there are paintings that sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, classic cars worth tens of millions, and rare stamps that command similar prices. So why shouldn't a coin that's equally rare and historically significant command a comparable value? The lesson here is that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary places, that a careful examination of your pocket change could literally change your life overnight, and that knowledge is the key to recognizing these opportunities when they present themselves. The four coins we've covered today, the 1999 D worth $55 million, the 1997 P worth $57 million, the 1995 P worth $60 million, and this ultimate treasure, the 1989 D worth $65 million, represent life-changing sums of money that are accessible to anyone willing to look carefully and learn what to search for. So I encourage you to start checking your dimes today. Visit local coin shops to learn more, invest in a good magnifying glass and scale, and never underestimate the value of what might be sitting in your pocket, your car, or your home right this moment. Remember, someone found that $65 million coin in an old drawer. Someone else found a $57 million coin in grocery store change. And the next discovery could be yours if you're willing to look carefully and take action when you spot something unusual. Because in the world of rare coins, fortune truly does favor the observant, the persistent, and those who refuse to overlook what others consider to be ordinary pocket change. So get out there and start hunting, because your $1 million dime might be waiting for you right now.